Mic check. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Holy cow. I'm sorry. Let's try this again. Give me some music, please. There we go. I am so sorry. That's good. Learn filmmaking from the guy that just can't even get his camera to work. That's awesome. What a great way to start this. Happy Wednesday, everyone. Get your asses in here. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Here's what happened. Here's what happened. I wanted to use the camera that I reset up. So I put my A7s3 back on this thing, the one I usually stream with, my real fancy camera. I was gonna use it as more of like a show and tell prop tonight. So I grabbed our old DSLR, which is a Nikon D850, and put the D850 on today. And I've streamed with that camera before. And then Chad came in and he's like, hey, I'm going to McCall. I'm gonna shoot some stuff for Winter Carnival. Let me take a camera. So he took the D850 and I threw a D810 on there. And the D810 should work just like the D850, but for some reason the D810 had a mechanism that closes the shutter after a certain amount of time. It's a really old camera. It's like, you're not using this, the shutter's open, why is that? It doesn't know what live streaming is. And so that's what happened. So I hope everyone finds their way in here. I know that other one went down. So welcome, happy Wednesday. Welcome to the live stream. I'm gonna shut this off. You know, the last couple live streams I've been talking about, just kind of randomly talked about what it takes to get into filmmaking. Some of the stuff like how I got a job, how, you know, the mindset you need to have when you kind of get into this, the work ethic, things like that. But I realized I didn't say like, okay, if you actually want to do this, what's like A, B, C, or D you would do, especially now, because back then it was different. It was like 10 years ago. It was pre the digital age. The digital age has really changed everything. It's changed the cost it takes to get into this. It's changed just the access, the ease of access, the ease of use, the technology's changed. You need less gear. And so I was thinking to myself, and I've thought about it a lot, like if I was going to start over again at, you know, 24, let's say, how would I do it? What are the steps that I would take? And I get asked a lot by a lot of people, you know, hey John, I want to do this. How would you do it? And so I've been able to talk to them and think about it with them. I think about it on my runs and stuff. And I was like, you know what? Why don't I just tell you exactly how to do it? And really from the gear side of it, you know, if I was going to get into woodworking, let's say, man, that would be daunting for me, right? It's like, what do I need? I need a table. I need a saw. What kind of saw do I need? Do I need pliers, hand tools, anything like that? Like, what would I need to get into woodworking? There's so many avenues you can take. There's so many things you can do. There's so many places you can go to learn that skill. And I want to talk today on the different levels of filmmaking. So if I want to be able to let you know how to get into it, whether that's if you want to just shoot better vacation videos, I want you to be able to learn that. If you're a young person that wants to make this a career, I want you to learn that. If you're someone that might just be incorporating it into a side hustle or for your business, I'm gonna use this guy as an example. I don't know if he's watching, but I got a DM from him today, so that's why he came to mind. He's a trainer of mine. His name is Seth. He works at the gym I go to. The gym I go to is Pivot by Kristen Armstrong. It's her new gym downtown in Boise. And I thought to myself, why would what he DM'd me was, I mean, I'll be watching. I said, I'm going to do this tonight, and he DM'd me, I'll be watching. And I was like, why would my trainer want to be watching? Why would he need to know this? How could he benefit from this? And then I thought about it, and I'm like, if I was at that gym, there is a lot I would do with a camera. And if I was a trainer and I wanted to transition into this type of thing, I would start at my gym. I would learn how to do it for my gym. They do a lot of training videos, that they do a lot of workout routines that go on their screens. There's an actual celebrity, like a local celebrity involved, in an Olympic gold medalist that can do so much on social. You can do gym tips for the day. You could start a YouTube channel for Pivot. So if I'm Seth, my trainer, I could actually get into this and start using this in my job now as a trainer. And eventually, if he were to make the jump to, say, I don't know, working for bodybuilding.com, like the biggest supplement manufacturing company in the world is right here in Boise. Boom, he's got a track record. He can go seamlessly from making money as a trainer, probably making some extra money with his job, doing this filmmaking thing, and then be able to transition into a company like bodybuilding or something. I will teach you, Seth, tonight, if you're watching. That's how I'm going to, that's like kind of what I want, the information that I want to give you. And especially in the digital age. So without further ado, let's jump into it. So what do you need to get started in filmmaking? It's 5 things. I'll tell you what 5 they are. In order, okay? There's 5 things you need. That's it. 1 is a camera. Sorry, if you're going to be a filmmaker, you got to have something to shoot on, right? Now, we'll get into what cameras and what that is in the future. 2 is you need a means to edit. You need editing software, a means to edit, whether that's your computer, on your computer, whether that's on your phone. You need a way to be able to cut the things that you've shot with your camera and turn them into a story. 3rd, that I think is overlooked a ton, is you need an audience. All right? I think that when I went to school, it was like, if you make a film, that's it. You're a filmmaker. And I'm like, not really. Like, the point of filmmaking is for others to watch. Now, we can define what an audience is. You don't need to have a YouTube channel or anything. Maybe your audience is your grandparents, okay? You want to make them a wedding anniversary video. Well, that's your audience. You've established your audience. There it is, okay? Maybe I'll use Seth as an example again. Sorry, Seth. Maybe your audience is like your people at your gym that you train or something like that. You need to be able to define your audience, and you need to have an audience, and you need to develop that audience. Well, you don't really need to develop it. If you're just a hobbyist, you don't need to develop it. But there's ways to have audiences and develop that, and you definitely need to define it. So audience is 3. 4 is audio. Now, there's this old saying, audio is 51% of the story. Whether that's, I truly think it's like this audio is kind of what I'm referring to, but you need some kind of audio, right? Even if you're posting some shitty TikTok video, there has to be audio, there has to be music or something, or your video is not going to work. And the last thing is you need a tripod. Now, I did not say stabilization, right? I did not say that. I said tripod, like the actual tripod, that really old thing that since the dawn of filmmaking has been used. You need one of those. Okay, let's just get that out of the way. Okay, so I want to start with audience. And if you have any questions for me, just drop them into the comment section here and I will answer them. Like I said, I'm going to be going over like a lot of stuff. So we're not going to break down too many things like, framing and depth of field and too much on f-stops, and whether you want to shoot progressive or you want to shoot, what's the other one? Starts with an I. I even forgot what it is. You know what I mean. S-Log or adding LUTs. We're not going to get into the technical side, okay? We're just going to talk gear. But if you have a question about the technical side, let me know. 24 frames per second versus 30 frames per second, like shit like that. I don't know why you'd shoot 30 frames per second, but by all means, you can ask me. So let's talk about audience. I think that's the first thing you need to define when you're actually thinking about this. Who is this for? What's your goal with what you're shooting? And then what is your platform? Again, I've already talked about this a little bit. Are you Seth? I got another buddy. His name's Corey. He's been in some videos. Corey works for the mayor's office. Is he getting into filmmaking? Is his start so that he can, you know, do more public live streams for the mayor and set up professional looking ways for her to get, you know, the weekly Boise broadcast out or something like that? You need to define your audience. Now, you're like, John, I don't know. I don't have an audience. What would you do? How do you define that? I just want to become something or take this somewhere with a career, start a career. Well, then the first thing I'm going to tell you is you need a website. All right? You need a website if you're going to make this a career. It's not a YouTube channel. It's not TikTok, but you need to have a website if you're going to make this a thing. Maybe TikTok is something you want to do. Maybe you're here because you're like, you know what? I want to blow up on TikTok. I don't know why. I like making food videos on TikTok, and that's what I want to do. Good. You've defined your platform. And guess what? That defines the equipment you're going to use, because you probably don't need one of these things. You're going to probably use something that we're going to talk about in the future that everyone has, your phone. And you're going to shoot things vertically if that's your platform. So defining what your goal is, what your platform is, all things like that. But if you're going to make this a career, start with a website. And I think the best website to start with is Squarespace. It's really simple. It's $12 a month. If you, let me pull this up real quick and we can just look at the plans here. So everyone that comes to me and is like, John, I want to make this a career, this is the first thing I tell them. You know what the first thing you need, besides the camera, but you should start a website. And you could just start with Squarespace, and you know, for $12 a month, you could have a personal account. For $18 a month, you can have a business account. You can go monthly too. It's about $16, $26. I'm going to try to keep pricing down here and give you a bunch of different price options tonight for how you get started with this and what you do. Just be forewarned, this thing does take money. I mean, I'm not going to sit here and say you can't spend money and get into filmmaking. Like, it's just like anything else. I used woodworking earlier as an example, freaking camping. It all costs money, okay? Now, I'm going to try to explain the cheapest and the most cost-effective ways to do it and the ways you level up, but it will cost some money. So there's your first thing, a website. And then if you have a website, you know, the social platforms you want to get to. If you're going to use Squarespace, you know, I truly believe you should start a YouTube channel. There's Vimeo. And the way those work with Squarespace is you'll just post, I don't know, any video you make that you want on your website will go on your YouTube channel or your Vimeo page. Again, I think YouTube is the best way to go, because just the search traffic and the search history, whether you just want numbers to grow your numbers and followings for some reason, or there's, you know, tons of YouTube success stories where a guy was like, I just wanted to grow my plumbing business. So I started making videos about how to do your own at-home plumbing, and that really catapulted my business. So if you're getting into that, YouTube is the way that I would go. And then the way you pivot that onto your website is when you have good videos that go on your YouTube page, you just embed those on your website and you start to build a professional looking website, a professional looking portfolio, and you start generating the traffic on YouTube. Now, notice, I think I've talked about it before, I went and got a job at News, and that's a total way you can get trained and you can learn this. The approach we're gonna take tonight is like, I think in the digital era and with YouTube, these things were not around when I started, and that the real way to get into this, to get into filmmaking, is to actually start, to actually do, to actually start making stuff, okay? And with that, the other stuff will just fall into place, and you'll learn. When you come across a problem, when there's an editing choice, you're like, I don't know how to add graphics to a video. You will be able to type them up on YouTube or Google or something like that, and you just learn as you go. And as your skills grow, as your skills increase, you start to monetize your skill, your side hustle becomes your career, so on and so forth, however far you want to take it. And like I mentioned with my trainer, you usually would have, even when I started at news, I worked in a restaurant, right? So you're generating income, usually not right away in this, but in some facet, and then you're doing this on the side and you're learning as you go. So there you go. Start your YouTube, start your Squarespace, start your Vimeo, find what you want to do, locate your audience, at least for now, and your audience can change. When I first started, I started with a little JVC camcorder, and I play rugby. And I started shooting practices, and I started shooting, little promo videos. Other things you can start making is like spec ads. Now, a couple things with spec ads. So a spec ad would be, I don't know, do you have a Yeti cooler at home? And you want to get into the adventure filmmaking, right? We're going to really focus on adventure filmmaking tonight with the tools that we use. So think of something adventurous that you have around your house, a Yeti cooler, okay? You can take that where? You can take that down to a campsite by you. You can take it down to, I don't know, the river or something like that, and shoot a spec ad. Shoot a 30-second commercial for your Yeti cooler, and then put that online and put that in your portfolio. Show people that you know how to make stuff, that you can make things. You don't have to be hired by Yeti to do that. You can just go ahead and do that. Now, I will say, definitely, I think ethically, you should have to say it's a spec ad, okay? There is a local videography agency here in town that I won't name, Red Fox Visuals, that uses spec ads as on their site. So they have ads for like Toyota and Bose speakers, and it takes a lot of digging through their site they really make it look on their site. Again, I'm not going to name who I'm talking about, Red Fox Visuals. But they make it really look on their site that those are clients of theirs, like Toyota and Bose speakers. And just think about that if you're an actual professional. Like, it would be like for us to be like, you know what, we wrote this article for the New York Times, and then buried somewhere back in the pages of our website in some fine print, like we wrote this for the New York Times, but they didn't actually pick it up and publish it in their article. So when we say we didn't actually work for the New York Times. Like, come on, like, let's talk ethics here, all right? Every videographer or whatever has a client list on their site. We have one. It's actually, I think, pretty impressive. But like, don't lie about it. So that's just my thing with spec ads. And it's like, I don't know. I don't know what that Red Fox Visuals would say if they heard me talking trash about them. What would they say? Like, John, damn you for saying those things that are totally true. I don't know. Or maybe like they'll be like, who's John Conti? And I'll be like, you know what, Josh? You know damn well who I am. We did a job together for bodybuilding.com. Don't pretend like you don't know me. I grew up in sports, all right? A little bit of shit talk, no big deal. Are we still live? I'm so sorry, guys. Oh, okay, everyone's coming in. All right, here we go. All right, so there you go. Establish your audience. If you're gonna make this career, get a website, find your platform, that kind of thing. Let's move into editing too, next. You need editing software. Now, this is the one that I think a lot of people kind of, where they get hicked up, like hicked up. where they kind of hiccup, where they're like, I don't really know how to learn or start editing. It's really easy. It's called Davinci Resolve, okay? It's really easy. So there's 3 major editing platforms, professional editing platforms, in my opinion. There's 4, all right? One is dying, I think, on its way out. But old school Hollywood still uses it, so technically it's professional. You're never going to use it. It's called Avid. So Avid, Sony Avid is one. You're never going to use that. It's a dying technology. It's what I learned on. Hollywood apparently still uses it. The next one that's actually moving Avid out and is becoming the staple is Premiere and the Adobe Creative Cloud suite. That is what I use now. It's expensive, all right? If you want the whole suite, it's like $52 a month. They make you do a subscription based. If you do the whole suite, do the whole suite like I do. That $52 a month is actually a pretty decent price for me because I use Lightroom, I use Photoshop, I use Premiere, I use After Effects for graphics, I use Audition for sound. So I use Illustrator sometimes with clients. I'm using like 6 or 7 of the Adobe Creative Suite apps. So it makes it more affordable for me. The other 2 are DaVinci and Final Cut Pro. Now maybe you get a laptop. That's the one thing you will need is like some sort of computer, or we'll get into the phone in a second. But you need a computer, a laptop. I think nowadays everyone has a computer or a laptop, even a tablet you can edit on. So let's just say that you have one of those. If you get a new MacBook, I am using Mac products. You obviously do not need to use Mac products. You can use PC products. But if you get a Mac product, maybe it comes with Final Cut. If you want to buy Final Cut for your Mac, it's $300. And then unlike the subscription, you own it forever. Okay? So there are the 2. The next one is Davinci Resolve. Now in Hollywood, Davinci Resolve has been used for a while for color grading. And recently Davinci has tried to break into the editing side like an all-in-one. Makes sense, right? So Davinci offers a free software to their program. So let me pull it up here. It's going to cause lag. That's why I didn't pull it up here. Here we go. I mean, you could see they're highlighting all the movies. This is the website. It's blackmagicdesign.com. You see this here? This is the free download. And then you can learn it, and then you can either switch to Final Cut, you can switch over to Premiere, depending on where you go, where you want to level up from there. Davinci Resolve is a good one. And then when you buy it, it's $295, so it's the same price as Final Cut Pro. So if I was learning over again, or I didn't know where I wanted to go and I wanted, again, free editing software, that's what I would do. My guess is there are limitations to it, especially like if you use bigger cameras and bigger bit rates and things like that. But in terms of like getting started, I think it's a good way to get started. And then of course you have iMovie. I'm a big fan of iMovie. And of course, if you have your phone, there are apps on your phone. We're going to get into cameras next, and the first camera we're going to talk about is your phone, because I think you can do a lot of damage with your phone. And by damage, I mean that in a good way, like the specs on phones. I heard of Avid all day, but I live in LA. Yeah, okay. Yeah, that's what I said. Hollywood uses Avid for some reason. I'm just listening. You know where I got all that information from was like a music post-production studio that does a lot of Hollywood work here in Boise. And he was saying like he sees 50-50 come through his studio, like 50% Premiere and 50% Avid. And then all Resolve for color. So that's what he was saying. So I'm guessing Avid, yeah, is huge in LA. And when I was working in news, that's what we used. So I think Avid still is hanging on. But I'm talking more of like, I don't know any YouTuber or common digital creator that's like, you know what I'm working on? I'm working on Avid. So that's why I kind of think it's on its way out, because like I don't think that the new generation that's learning stuff is going to learn Avid, and eventually it'll die. But okay, I digress with Avid. So yeah, there's iMovie and Splice on your phone. What are you trying to do? Maybe you're just a motivational speaker that wants to record 45-second TikToks on your phone and grow your business that way. Well, there you go. You don't need a computer or anything like that. You can put it on your phone. You can use iMovie. You can use Splice. Those are free. I think iMovie still works. Correct me if I'm wrong. Does iMovie work on? I've only had Apple iPhones, so maybe it's not. But Splice is the universal. You can use Splice. So you need that kind of editing. You need a laptop. You need a PC. I would definitely recommend getting a laptop, especially if you're in the travel thing. It's just the best. It's the best. It might not be as powerful maybe right off the bat, depending on what laptop you get. But I know like Brett, his first computer, he got a really big fancy iMac, and he was like, I should have gone with a laptop. And it's like, yeah, you should have. I still use a laptop, and I plug in all my external monitors and stuff like that. All right, let's get into the fun stuff. What are your thoughts on pros? I'm a little bit late to the vid. It's okay, I had technical difficulties. So I'm sorry too. What is my thoughts on GoPros? Yeah, I have that written down here. It's not good. All right, so let's talk about cameras. The first thing you need is a camera. So what camera are you gonna start with? Let me tell you, let me give you this phrase. The best camera is the one you have on you, okay? That's what you need to remember. The best camera is the one you have on you. So I was in a fluster here, so I don't have it. So what is the camera that we all have on us? It's a GoPro. It's your phone. And especially the way phones are moving right now, you can absolutely, if someone, the new iPhone 13 is out. It shoots 4K 60. It's an incredible. If someone gave me an iPhone 13, I'll go pick one up soon. If someone gave me an iPhone 13, I could make an ad that I would charge a client thousands of dollars for, $1,000 to $2,000 for. I guarantee it tomorrow. Like with your iPhone, it's going to be crazy to see where these things go. With your iPhone, you can, with any phone, your Pixel phone, you can do some damage. And those things aren't going to get less powerful. They're not going to take away, the video capabilities aren't going down. They're not seeing the numbers and being like, you know what? People don't care about the video. They want less video. Like, none of that. The whole way iPhones are being marketed right now are shoot a movie on iPhone. Like, I think that's the tagline. And they're showing all like these really professional behind the scenes productions where an iPhone is being used. So your phone is a great entry point. And I think for a lot of people really works as the first entry point. And then if you're not, you don't want to pay for a camera, right? That's the best way to get into it and to keep paying for it. Usually your phone plan, you can lease a phone, lease a new phone. It's got, I just looked up the specs for the 13 today. I looked up the specs for the Pixel 2. When I talk, I'm going to talk more about Apple products just because I'm more familiar with them. Sorry, guys and gals. But yeah, these are what iPhones, these are just the specs I looked up on iPhones today, and it's freaking out of this world. Video recording, cinematic, 4K, 24 to 60. That's 4K in slow motion, ProRes video recording. Oh my God. I think was saying it had these are the telephoto lens at 2.8 aperture. You can change your depth of field. You've probably seen that commercial where they're hyping up the new depth of field change. There's a lot you can do with your phone. And if you want to get started, I keep Seth, I'm sorry if you're watching. I keep using you as the example. Let's just say you're Seth again. You're in a gym. I just feel like that's something everyone can relate to. I'm sorry, Seth. And I'm Seth, and I'm like, all right, I want to get started shooting stuff for my gym, you know, and they're not going to buy me a new camera. How do I get started? Well, you get started with a new phone, and you start shooting it on your phone. Now, there's a couple of items that I would suggest you get with your phone if you're going to actually pump out some real good looking stuff, but you can do so much with your phone. It's unreal. And one thing I will say, one big limitation to the phone is if you're shooting 4K, I mean, it's not really a huge limitation. Just be mindful of your capacity that you get. You know, you go up to 1 terabyte. Let's just say you wanna try some of the stuff I do. You wanna do like a 3-day hiking and backpacking thing. I honestly could make a 5-day backpacking professional looking video with a phone. I might in the future, like who knows where these things are going. The one thing that is kind of tricky is like if you're planning on shooting a lot of 4K 60 on a 5-day trip, you can't change out SD cards on these things, right? You can, but it's like tricky and it's bulky. So just make sure you get one with enough space. You know, don't save money on the 128 gig version, because after you get all your apps and all your crap and your family photos and stuff on there, you know, you're going to be left with what, 64 gigs. That's going to fill up fast. You're not going to be able to do that stuff. So go for the higher gig phone if you want to actually try to do some big, like shoot a movie without having to go back to a computer. Does that make sense? A little tip for the phone. Man, this thing even has image stabilization properties. Before I move on to accessories with the iPhone, I want to talk about other cameras because obviously you might want to upgrade from your phone. Let's talk about one that was mentioned already, and that is the Gopro. I don't know how else to say it. I hate these things. Everything has a time and a place, right? And a GoPro definitely has a place. There's things that you can't get with, you know, I'm going to mount something to a skier's helmet, right? For sure. Like I'm not going to mount my mirrorless $3,500 camera to someone's helmet. You know, underwater stuff, I use this a lot for underwater stuff. It's really easy. You don't have to buy a big cage or anything for that. So if I'm doing underwater stuff, it's this. Jumping out of a plane, it's this. Here's my thing. I don't think that this should be your first camera. Like if someone was going to say to me, you need to shoot a professional whatever, you can have a GoPro or you can have a cell phone. Which one? I would take the cell phone. And these things are just kind of fluky. I don't think they're good. The quality's not great. It comes with a bunch of toys like the app, and obviously it's got stabilization and stuff. One of the big arguments I will make for it too is I don't think you will learn as much with this thing. Again, we're talking about if you want to get into this, if you want to level up your skills, if you want to learn editing and storytelling and stuff like that, you know, that's going to come with time and with learning. I think a GoPro is a definite, you know, a certain style of video. And unless you're just a phenomenal skier that's doing triple backflips, but even the best skiing videos, Candide Thoreau, am I saying his name right? Look him up on YouTube. Like, none of it's GoPro. None of it's GoPro. He's got another guy following with him. Like, and he's doing triple backflips and crap off major mountains. Like, none of it's GoPro. This thing was cool in the beginning. Like, it was a look that we all hadn't seen. But now the look and the nostalgia of these things has faded. Just look at their stock price. Talk about things fading. It's not innovative. I'm not for GoPros. So I'm not saying, again, don't use a GoPro. Don't incorporate it into your videos. You can't have one. I'm just saying don't buy this with the intention that this is your main camera and that you're going to get into this. Maybe you have one of these. Maybe you want to make a skiing video. You add to your skiing video with this. It is not your main camera. Other than the phone to the GoPro, the next thing that you can do is you can obviously look for deals in the used video section. DSLRs are what I was trying to live stream with earlier, that thing that didn't work, are getting old. They're basically being retired out. Canon has stopped making DSLRs. So you can pick up a DSLR. Shit, I'll sell you the one that stopped working when we started this live stream for $500. I mean, it shoots 4K. It'll work. You could take that route. I probably wouldn't. Really, what you're looking for is mirrorless. Okay, mirrorless is the new way of cameras. They're lighter. They just have more features. We're entering the digital age. This is what you should be using. Right now, by the way, when I'm talking about gear and cameras and stuff like that, we're talking from an adventure mindset. So an adventure filmmaking mindset, because I did say this is how you get into adventure filmmaking. And I guess what I mean by that is we're going to be light and we're going to be fast and we're not going to need big, heavy gear or want big, heavy gear, right? Obviously, people are like, well, what about an RE Alexa? Isn't that what they shoot movies on? Yeah, they have tracks, they have huge budgets, huge sets. That's not what we're doing, right? Everyone understands that. We are a one-man run-and-gun team going out into the woods for 5 days, and we're getting it on. I'm B&H, and I was like, what is probably the cheapest camera I would buy on B&H to actually pull off a professional shoot? Or if I was a hobbyist and I was going to Mexico for 21 days and I wanted to, well, okay, here we go. You're going to Nepal for 21 days. You're going to hike around Everest Base Camp. Someone might be doing that this year. And you have a weight limitation and you want to make this awesome looking video from Nepal. So you got to be light and you got to go and you just want a camera that's good, that's not too expensive, and you're just Joe Schmo. So I found the cheapest one I would invest in, all right? Here it goes. Ready? It's this. It's a Sony Cybershot. All right, I like Sony. You're gonna learn that quick. This is Sony Cybershot. There's no lens with it. It's just really cheap. It'll fit in your pocket. It's $288. I do not think, let's look up the specs here. Does it have 4K? At this point, I kind of feel like, I'm pretty sure this has 4K because I wouldn't recommend something in 4K. Nope, this is full HD. So I mean, if you're mom Joe Schmo, like that's going to the Himalayas, I don't want to say Joe Schmo, but you're like a dad and you're like, you've defined your audience, right? It's your Facebook friends and you want to go out and you're just like, you know what? I just kind of want to have better looking video. I want to take some photos. Like what kind of camera do you want, John? What little point and shoot can I carry with me? My Uncle Tim. This is what I would carry, right? This is the cheapest you could go. Now, if you're like, want to be a professional with it, how cheap can you go? What are some of the options? So I think that if I was starting now and I had to invest in a first camera and I had to make it the cheapest option that I could, because I'm on tight money, and I also want room to level up, and I also don't want like too shitty of a quality because I want it to look professional. What's the camera that I would go with? We're gonna go back to a Sony, okay? And usually when I'm gonna stick with like this Sony product. This is the actual cheapest one in the market, but like, you know, you can go with a Canon, you can go with a Sony, Panasonic. You know, we're gonna look at a GH5. That's probably the next thing up. So this is the Sony that you could go with. Whoops. This is a Sony ZV-E10 mirrorless camera With the lens, it's going to cost you like 800 bucks. And this one has the interchangeable lens. So a lot of obviously the look and the way you upgrade and the way you level up is being able to change your lenses out, buy better lenses, use better lenses. This thing is really popular. It shoots in 4K. This is a really big feature that I think is that I have found with this camera that I use, the Sony A7s3, is the articulating screen. If you shoot video, you're gonna find that to be crazy useful. It looks like a really simple thing, but like that articulating screen, the fact that it wraps around, I don't know why on Sony's A1, a $7,000 camera, they didn't put that in. It's really like the reason I would go with an A7S3 over an A1 if you're just strictly talking video. It's because they screwed you with the screen. But that screen's big. You can't shoot like 4K 60 with this, but like, I don't know. You don't see me use a lot of slow-mo. I think it's kind of overrated. Again, you know, we're talking price points and leveling up. You can do a lot of the projects that I'm still delivering are in, you know, 1080, you can shoot 1080 60 with this thing. If you want to start live streaming, you can use this thing. You have a place to add a mic, that's big. Just things like that, man. This is a good entry-level camera. That's a good entry-level price. You get that. You get all the features. Don't forget, when you're buying and investing in this stuff, to also look at some other things that you're just gonna have to have with a camera, with a lens. For example, are you gonna have cards? You're gonna need cards. You're gonna need a card reader. You're gonna need a place to store your footage, right? You're gonna need batteries. So let's just talk about that real quick, the places where you need to store footage, because along with your camera, you're gonna also have to be able to store footage, put your stuff places. These are external hard drives. Oh, come here. So when you buy cameras, check batteries, check cards. I have down in the description of this video a link to the Sony batteries, a link to the cards I use. I use big old 256 gigabyte cards because I'm shooting 10-bit 4K S-Log footage, like, and those get expensive. So check your card price. That's another big thing too. Like if you're shooting 4K versus 1080, storage becomes more expensive. So the way I would store stuff is these are external hard drives. You're going to need one of these, I think, to make backups. Let's just say you're using your phone and you want to store stuff. Let's just say you're building your portfolio, you're going to want to store stuff. I don't know, just building your stock library, right? Maybe you want to sell stock on Shutterstock. You should store it all. This is the cheap thing. This is a terabyte. This is a Western Digital drive. This is 50 bucks, okay? These are the ones that I use, and these are the ones I recommend. This is a Lacy Rugged hard drive. These are RAID drives. This one's 5 terabytes. At 5 terabytes, you get, it's 180 bucks. You get a month of the Apple Creative Cloud free, which is nice. So every time I buy these, I save myself 52 bucks from my Creative Cloud. And I go through these a lot. So I basically pay for half the year of my Creative Cloud with these rugged drives. Usually, and it really depends, but usually you want your footage in 2 places. For example, I edit and do all my stuff on one of these hard drives, and then I back it up to a really big Drobo machine that's like got these SSD disks, just terabytes and terabytes of footage. I think it holds like 40 terabytes as of now. And I store a lot of the stuff in there. Honestly, I have more than 40 terabytes that I've shot. I don't keep in 2 places things like tomorrow I'm shooting some, I don't know, some interview. It's just B-roll interview that I'm gonna send off to some New Zealand company. I'm not gonna store that in 2 places, all right? But you best believe, like, I don't know, the desert plateau video I did the other day, that is on one of these, and then it's also backed up on my Drobo. One of the things you can do with these, because it's a RAID drive, is the RAID technology allows you to, those are two separate drives. Okay, I hope I'm saying this right in layman's term. A RAID drive is basically multiple single discs in the drive, and you could set it up so that basically half the drive, basically split two halves of the drive so that you can store stuff in two places on one drive, so that if part of the drive fails, you don't lose your other stuff. That's one way you can do it. I honestly would just get like 2 of these, maybe at a less terabyte. Maybe if you don't shoot as much as I do, you can get away with 2 terabytes. Although that's still going to run you some money. Or maybe get, you know, a shitty one of these as your backup. And you put everything on one and you put everything on the other, and then you store them in 2 separate places. That's really overkill. I know. But it's good to start thinking now. You know, if you're actually like, dude, I want to make this a career. I actually want to get into this. I want to start building a library of stuff for my business or whatever. Think about how you're going to store your footage before you're 2 terabytes deep and your computer is overflowing, your phone can't hold anymore, and you're like, whoa. What do I do now? Do I just buy more SD cards? What do I do? It's external hard drives, okay? So that's how you store it. Lenses. Let's get into lenses real quick. So the 2 lenses I use are, right now I have a 2-lens system. Actually, let's not get into lenses. I want to stick with cameras. Sorry, I jumped the gun. So this was our first option here, right? This is the Sony ZE. I just want to give you a couple more real quick. This is this is probably your next level up. Now they're probably making a GH6 soon, but the Panasonic Lumix Gh5 is a really popular camera in my field, in this field, in the industry. And for something that shoots 4K, slow-mo, you know, really high quality stuff, this is like one of the best priced cameras for filmmaking. Now, again, we're talking about filmmaking tonight. We're not talking about photography. I am not coming at this from like a photography standpoint. This is not a great camera for photography. It's 20 megapixels. It's not absolute dog shit, but it's kind of dog shit. You know, the new A7 IV is something that you can also look at. Again, Sony, I like Sony A7 IV. This is what Brett just got, someone that's kind of new in the business, and he just sold his GH5 and upgraded to this. This has a lot of the features of the camera that I use, the A7S3. It's got better photo capabilities with 33 megapixels. It doesn't do crazy stuff like shoot the 4K 120 like mine does, and but you know, it's $1,000 less. I was going to show you mine and how cool it is and use it as a prop, but we got into some trouble with that. So I'll just show you on here what mine is. This is the Sony A7S3. I really dig this camera. Again, it's $3,500 for the body. It's back ordered. You know why it's back ordered? Because it's a freaking awesome camera and everyone uses one and wants one. There's not really much to say about it except like, yeah, this camera does everything I want it to. 10-bit S-Log 3. And again, I'm not going to really get into the technical aspects tonight of that kind of stuff. Just know this is an absolute workforce and a beast, and this is probably like, once you get to the price you're probably looking at, if you're looking to, you know, once you level up, once it becomes your full-time job like it is mine, this is the camera you have, right? We talked about the Sony CyberShot, so now let's get into lenses. So the lenses I have, and again, we're talking Sony lenses, and I think you know, when you're looking at lenses, there's a lot of different stuff to look at. Lenses can just be so priced so much. You know, there's floating f-stops, there's there's prime lenses, there's all this stuff. So you're like, John, I don't want to get bogged down in like lens talk. Here's what I'm going to say my primary lens on that is. Let me just give you that. I use a 2-lens setup, and I think it covers my bases. So when you're searching for lenses, I think this is kind of the important thing for your first lens. Make sure it's just going to give you more options than not, right? So this is a Sony Fe 24-105. A lot of lenses, there are a lot of lenses in this range, right? My first lens that I used with a Nikon D850 was a 24-120 f4. I find that to be a good workhorse lens for me. Anything in that range, you know, something that you can get a wide shot of, you know, the sawtooth if you want to start there at the 24mm range. And then if you press in, you can do really cool stuff with interviews and depth of field and, you know, sense of scale and sucking up your background. Like, this is a really good choice, I feel like. I like it to be fixed at an f4. f4 isn't prime, right? But f4 is a good place to be at for the adventure side of things. Usually when you're shooting landscapes, you can add enough bokeh and depth of field with the f4 to do interesting things, to pull interesting things off. Some of the other things about this lens and some of the other things that I'll talk about when matching up your camera and lens are, this thing has like steady shot, where it's got some stabilization built in. It's got autofocus. And check when you buy a lens, if you get a nice camera, you know, your lens should have those kind of things built into it. Not every lens with the A7s3 even is going to have that autofocus capability, you know. You might get a cheap lens for your Sony camera, your who knows, or your GH5, and you've been super pumped to use autofocus, and come to find out autofocus won't work with the lens you have. So if there's those things, make sure they have them. So this is the first lens I use, and this is the one I use the most. The other one I use, so we can just learn my process. Sigma Art, what is it? What would it be? This is it, right? Thought it was an f2, but that kind of looks like it. So this is my other lens. This is a 14-24. So again, we talked about 24-105. If we're talking focal lengths, 24 is wide, 14 is even wider, 105 is zooming in. Okay, if you don't know that yet. This one, again, when I looked it up, even though it's not a Sony lens, it uses, you know, I made sure that the autofocus and the stabilization, all that works with this lens, and it still does. Now, one of the things that I didn't notice with this lens, which I want to talk about, is that, and another is going to bring me to another point, is that it's got this, like, I don't know if you could see it. It's got this weird front, and the glass itself on the front, it's kind of this like fish eye looking glass. So I can't use on this thing my favorite accessory, a polarizer. So let's talk about that. Okay, so you've got your camera, you've got your lenses. We're going to talk about just some accessories real quick to level up. Now, you don't need to start with any of these, right? This is not your first priority, but I do recommend getting a polarizer. This is the PolarPro Quartz polarizer. It's the one like Peter McKellen sells through PolarPro. It's a 75mm. It fits that lens that's on the camera that you're seeing through right now. And you know, if you're doing an adventure film and you want it to look professional, I think a polarizer is going to make a huge difference. You can get them for cheaper. The more money you spend, the better they're going to look. It's one of those things where money does matter with those. And so with this one, I can't put a polarizer on it, which is a huge bummer. This one has like a place in the back, you can see, where you hook up rear ND filters. This is my rear ND set. What are ND filters, you ask? They're basically sunglasses for your lens. So, you know, this shoots at an f2.8. That's where you open it up really wide and you let as much light as you can in. And if you do that in the middle of a day, you're just gonna have white. You're just gonna have blown out everywhere. So you need to throw on an ND filter to cut down that light so that you can use that beautiful, silky f2.8, or like, you know, with a face. Let's just say you want that with an interview and you don't want to be shooting at f22. You're going to need ND filters. So ND filters and polarizers for accessories to your lenses are kind of are how you level up. More so a polarizer, because a polarizer actually uses the sun and makes your colors pop on screen. This one just is cutting light so you can use that f2.8, but I actually have to color grade and add more saturation to the images I shoot with this because I don't use a polarizer than the ones I shoot with this. So just a fun accessory, a polarizer. Think about that. All right, that's lenses, that's the camera. So you got your lenses, you got your camera. Let's check the comment section. I'm sorry I've been rambling for a while. I just was in a groove there, and see what all is going down, if I'm even online anymore. Do you edit on the drive itself or copy local? No, I edit on the drive itself. Those rugged drives are fast. So that's the other reason I like a rugged drive, is because, you know, 130 megabytes a second, you can add local. Always back up impossible files, important. Partition the drive. Cloud backup is also a good choice. Cloud backup is also a good choice. It's never too late. What website are you shopping on? I'm shopping on B&H Photo Video. You can shop on Amazon, same frickin' thing. But I like B&H. Closed on Sundays. No, Saturdays, right? Because it's run by Hasidic Jews from New York. It's awesome. Some of those cameras are more money than I've had in my pocket before. I could buy a used car at that price. That's why I said phone. Your phone is first. There's also the Affirm program. I mean, you can get a credit card. It's like, yeah, how much do you want to level up? But again, that's why I think your phone is a really, really good way to get started. What does the polarizer do? So a polarizer in the middle of the day refracts light. So when the sun is like straight up in the air and cuts glare. So let me just try to describe it in. Have you ever been looking out on a beautiful body of water in the middle of the day and the sun is bright and shiny out, and you put your camera to it and all you see on the water is the sun just beating off that glass, and it's making these really blown out highlights, these really big, bright, white spots, and the sky is just this white, blown out mess. Well, the polarizer will cut that glare, refract the light, bring you back more detail in that water, bring you back more detail in the sky. so that in the middle of the day when the light is the nastiest, you will actually get a proper image. That's why the polarizer is so important. If I went and tried to shoot a river rafting video, there would be 8 hours of the day in the middle of summer where I would have just absolute dog shit if I didn't have a polarizer to cut off just the sun refracting off, the white water itself, cutting down that glare, making those highlights manageable. That's what a polarizer does. James, cameras are expensive, but as just said at the beginning, the best camera is what you have. Start with what you have and work toward one more expensive cameras. Thank you, Seth and Jonesy. How is your van build going? Yeah, if you're Seth and Jonesy and they got a channel, they're working on a beautiful van build. Go check out their channel and watch their van build. There's your defining your audience. And yeah, you can start with just your camera. And then let's just say you're Seth and I'm sorry, Jonesy, is it Jonesy or I think it's Jonesy. Jonesy? Jonesy. If you're Seth and Jonesy, like you could, I don't know what they're using, but you could start with your camera and you're just like, hey, I want to show people how to build my trailer, my new, like a van build. It's not a van, I know, but my RV build. And you start on your phone and you start editing and you start uploading to YouTube. And then before you know it, your channel's generating some money and you put that money into better gear, and before you know it, you're doing brand deals and this and that and blah, 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 blah. And you found your audience, and you've got a side gig that's paying for your fun camera equipment and your RV lifestyle, while they do their other thing. Like that's kind of the progression that you can go with. But start with the camera that you have in your pocket. Sunglasses for your lens. Yep. Boost the color saturation. I think, it helps with the color saturation. This one does because it's quartz. But I think sunglasses are a better way to describe them. Cuts glare. You're awesome. Love your vids. They're so crisp. Thank you. Easiest way to describe it. You have polarized sunglasses. Now put those on your camera. Exactly. I run my iPhone 12 Max, GoPro, and DJI Mini 2. Yeah, that's a good setup. We're going to get into the drones at the end here. We're just going through the essentials. Okay. So, I think we are at the point, right? Let's retract on let's just catch up, everyone, where we're at here, and you can go back and look through. What do you need? You need a camera. You need to edit. You need a means to edit the footage that you've made. You need an audience. You at least need to define your audience. You need audio and you need a tripod. So we have defined our audience. I have told you where to put stuff. Squarespace, YouTube, Vimeo, Facebook, TikTok, pick one. It's a golden age of just getting your stuff out. I remember when I first started, it was like film festivals. You had to go to film festivals, which was such a mind-numbing experience. 50 people saw your thing. That was bullshit. I was just like, if you don't get into this career for no one to see your stuff, right? It's like, even if you make commercials, your goal is to eventually get a commercial on the Super Bowl that millions of people see, right? It doesn't matter what you do in this industry. You want people to watch it. So, audience. Audio, tripod. We've talked about cameras that you can get. I've given you examples. We've talked about GoPros. We have talked about iPhones and just your phone in general that I'm going to come back to. And then we've talked about professional cameras, the ones that I like: A7 IV, A7S3, Gh5, ZV-10. There we go. So let's get into audio. The famous quote is, audio is 51% of the story. This is where it gets, you really need to boost your skills and you should get better, is your audio. Pointing the camera and press and play is pretty easy. Like, And people will forgive video mistakes, let's be honest. If this was in focus right now and I was out of focus, I bet you'd keep watching if you're watching this already. You're like, the info I'm getting is good, whatever, he's a little blurry, screw it, we'll just keep watching. If I sounded like this for the next 10, 15 seconds, are you going to keep watching? Probably not, right? Probably not. You're going to shut it off. So that's what we mean by audio is 51% of the story. You can't let your audio go to shit. So you need some stuff audio-wise. Let's just start with what I use, okay? So I use this. This is like my main audio thing. This is a Rode VideoMic Pro Plus. It's big. It's actually pretty big. This is an on-camera microphone, all right? It's got a lot of bells and whistles. It's awesome. This on top of it is a dead cat. Why? It looks like a damn dead cat, okay? This helps you protect from the wind. These are things that, you know, I think that for most of you, for 90% of you, the first mic, the first piece of audio you're gonna get is an on-camera microphone. And again, let's not worry about the technical, right? Let's not worry about, you know, my audio after I record something, it gets compression, it gets EQ, it gets a limiter put on it. Like, we're not gonna get into that stuff to make your audio more crisp and clean it up and things like that. You're gonna learn that, but you do need equipment to make you better at it. This is the one downfall with the iPhone, I think, is like, you can't just take your iPhone out into, let's just take that Nepal trip. You're gonna do 21 days in Nepal around the Himalayas. Man, that iPhone is gonna have a lot of bad audio. There's gonna be a lot of bad audio in that video if you just take your phone and you don't take a secondary audio of some kind. Like, you're just not gonna be able to do a whole lot. Now, here's the thing. Audio is pretty cheap. Good audio is actually pretty cheap. So, let's get some audio going. So I already talked about this. This is the VideoMic Pro Plus. It's a $300 microphone. It's big. I don't know if that's like the first one you want to start with. Probably not. Actually, I do know. You don't want to start with that. Let's look at my favorite option. Like, if I was going to start tomorrow, I'm going to get this out of the way. Sorry. This is what I'm using. This is probably what I'm buying. Okay. I like Rode. Again, I feel like in terms of, I mean, I'm a pretty price conscious guy. Our business is price conscious. I like to say that I like my gear to be above average. So I don't like it to be the most expensive, because honestly, like, the most expensive versus a much less expensive, the difference is so minute, right? But cheap versus, you know, a high price, there's a great difference, right? So I like Rode products because they aren't super expensive. And is your Rode microphone going to be good as a Sennheiser? Probably not. Is it going to be 95% as good? Yeah, and it's going to be half the price. So that's why I like Rode products. This is a really good microphone that I like. I know a lot of other professionals that use this. It's small. Again, if we're talking about adventure filmmaking and just being on the lam and needing space, this is actually a little big, honestly. I mean, I've almost thought about just buying one of these. I don't know why I don't. You know, again, it's like I'm gonna get 5% better audio with this thing. It's also 3 times the price of this and 3 times as big. But this is a great microphone. I mean, just look on B&H. Here's reviews. Here's #1 seller. Those things mean a lot, especially on B&H, because I feel like the people that use B&H, it's not the Wild West like Amazon, where people are like, I don't know how this works, blah blah blah. You know, usually there's pretty good reviews. There's good stuff. And yeah, gear's just the Wild West, everyone. Like, I get it. You can get bogged down. Even when we buy new cameras, we call other people. One of the things that Chad likes to do before he orders gear if he has any questions about the gear, which he always freaking does, he calls B&H. They have a department at V&H that's supposed to answer your questions about gear before you buy stuff. So if you have like technical questions, if you just want to know, hey, I bought this Sony whatever, not Sony because it'll work with a Sony, I don't know, some obscure camera, I don't know, would that item work with this? They'll answer that question for you. So you can call B&H and get all your questions answered. If you want to start a podcast or anything, like, you can use this thing. You can use it as an on-camera microphone. Vlogger, run and gun, voiceover, podcaster, like plug-in power, USB power, cameras, mobile devices. I mean, this thing just can do everything. You can get so much out of it. You can boom it. You can put it on your camera. Like, there's just so many ways you can use this thing. And for 99 bucks, this is probably the first microphone I would recommend to everyone to go professional. Here's one that's even cheaper and even smaller. I'm not exactly sure. Like, it just... Mobile journalist, vlogger, run and gun. I don't think it has the same like USB capabilities to plug in and start podcasting or I don't know. It's just a little microphone, onboard microphone. But this would work well for a lot of people. And again, it's cheap. And yeah, I think this works for 90% of people. This is a great option. So first piece of gear is onboard microphone. The next thing that you could also get is a lavalier. I'm wearing a lavalier right now. It is a Sennheiser G4, and these are very expensive. This is the Zoom F2 Ultra Compact Portable Field Recorder, blah, blah, blah. It comes with its mic. It's got its own little thing that it plugs into. I talked about this a little bit on one of the previous episodes, just randomly. This says what's called 32-bit float distortion-free recording, 32-bit float audio. Now, you'll need some special equipment to use 32-bit float. For me and my software and my workflow, I need to take it into Audition. It doesn't just drop into Premiere and work. As of now, I think that'll change. So you may need to figure out how to use the 32-bit float, but you can always go back to, 24-bit, what you would probably be in your software are accustomed to if you want. What 32-bit float is basically, it's just more audio data. So I use the example of, in the past, if you were started this thing at a certain level, right? And you put it on, put it on your pocket, and you started talking, and you moved, and you were moving into a helicopter. Well, as you moved closer to the helicopter and then got into the helicopter, your sound would become eventually blown out, right? The level that I'm talking right now versus a helicopter is drastically different. The audio settings drastically different. So in the past, that would be an issue. You would almost have to use two separate audio sources at two different levels to try to make that work. What 32-bit float and this does is solves that problem. And you can just you can take your 32-bit float audio, you can normalize it in Audition. It brings all those levels up equally, and there's no distortion or clipping or anything like that. Really fun, really useful. I like to think of it like if it's a especially windy day and I'm doing a gear review out in the wilderness, or let's just use it in practical use. You're doing an interview. I worked with Helfrich. I had to interview them. You can just throw this on people. And there's a lot less to it. It records right into the box. So, for example, the lav I'm using now in a traditional lav, there's a box that's, that size on my hip. There's this size box on my camera right now, and it is plugged into my camera, what's called a receiver. It's feeding in. And then you would monitor it through that. Now what I actually do out in the field with this is it's got an automatic setting with that 32-bit. It's also got it with the 24. And when I was using 24-bit, I used an automatic setting on what's called a task cam. And that worked well too. But it's just that box. You'll switch it on, you'll turn it on, you'll press that hold button right here, you'll put it on your subject, and then it will automatically pick up that voice. It'll change based on how they're talking high, or if they're talking really low, it'll bring up the audios. And then when I take it into with that 32-bit float, obviously into post, I just have no worries about it clipping or someone getting excited or a harsh laugh all of a sudden blowing out, you know, the audio. So this is a really useful tool that could be useful. It's $180. Are you doing more interview stuff? Something that you can add to your kit, and $180 for something like this is super cheap. And again, I think the onboard microphone probably first and foremost, and you can obviously do interviews that way, but you're gonna have to get that camera really close if you're doing an interview, and it's not gonna sound like I sound now. It'll sound a little bit farther away. So if you want a cheap and a great option to get into it, these are great. Honestly, I have these Sennheisers. If I was starting a business tomorrow, I would buy these and I would forget these Sennheisers. I would just have a couple of these, and these would be the only lavs I had. And there you go. There's also these. These are $300. These are the go-tos. These are pretty popular. This is a good option for, sorry, I'm opening up water. This is a good option for your phone. You're like, God damn, John, $300 for a microphone that plugs into my phone. You can, you know, basically Bluetooth this to your phone and just clip this on someone, on you or whatever. And there you go. You have professional quality audio going right into your phone. That's one option. The other option that I like is this. This is $150. This is also made by Rode. Look at this setup. Look at this professional setup. Holy shit. It's $150 and you're good to go. Yeah, I've been sitting on this for this whole time. You guys are like, John, this is all the info I wanted. Thank you. I'm out of here. I just wanted one of these things. Yeah, buy one of these. Here's a microphone. Here's a light. It's like a vlogger kit. You can put it on a little tripod. Does it come with a tripod? Like mobile devices with lighting ports. Yeah, and there you go. You're doing workout videos. You're interviewing the mayor. Who knows? Corey, my friend who does stuff with the mayor. This would be great for her. She you know, a lot of her stuff is just sitting in front of a desk. She is talking to the constituents of, not her constituents, but the citizens of Boise, giving them an update. Here you go. Set this on your desk, Mayor, and you can see yourself. So you've got the monitor, you've got a microphone, you've got lights, all that. It's like, yeah, it's great. There's your little microphone, plugs into your phone. Look at that cute little thing. And that's going to be better than your camera microphone. And there's all sorts of microphones that you can get for your camera. Also, look at that. It's a windsock. You get a windsock. Are you kidding right now? You get an onboard microphone for your camera with a windsock, with a tripod, with a light. Why do you need any more gear? Here you go. Your phone, $150, and you're good to go. You're good to start. Look at that. I sat on that. Anyways. There's audio. Let's check back in. Let me check back in with you guys. Oh. Why can't I just hold a cat against my camera and get the same sort of audio? That's what I have, but I messed up plugging it into my GoPro. LOL, I got a Rode Mini and I messed it up and got zero sound for my GoPro when I had an epic fly fishing in the Henry's Fork. Gosh, Brian, I gotta tell you, I don't know if that was your fault or the GoPro's fault, man. Like, these GoPros suck. They're not forced. Don't beat yourself up. Like, Chad and I, when we use GoPros, we bank on them not working. We're like, this would be cool if we get this. There's a chance this might not work. So do we have everything we need if we don't have this GoPro shot? That's literally how we think about it when we set up a GoPro, because they're very unreliable. It's just, and I've been using GoPro since, dude, the first one. We're on 10. Like, they've just always have been. There's a reason they're selling them for $299. Like, I'm just not a fan. So don't beat yourself up, Brian. Why can't I just hold a cat against my camera and get the same sort of audio? It's just the most brilliant question ever, Isaac. You should load up some affiliate links with this stuff. I did. They're right in the description. But that relies on a forward-facing camera. I don't know what you mean. The Rode Vlogger kit. No. Oh, thanks, Rob. Yeah, send me money. There we go. I got an email that I'm supposedly losing my affiliate partnership with REI. I feel that's a clerical error, so I'm trying to fix it. But yeah, I may need some donations here soon, because that affiliate money from REI was supporting all the gas that goes into my adventures. The Rode Vlogger kit, I think that you can turn your phone either way. You know, there's a camera on one side of the phone and a camera on the other side. The camera on the front where the screen is usually has less capabilities, like it's not as powerful as the one behind it. But if you're facing, you know, you can turn that microphone around. You can get it to face whatever way you're facing the phone. Does that make sense? All right, let's get into some last things, and we've got tripod, stabilization, and drone, and then we'll get out of here. I am so sorry again for the second week in a row for technical difficulties. I bet you there's people that are on my Instagram feed that are like, hey, I'm clicking this link and it's taking me to this 4-minute video. Ugh. Fine. You messed it up, John. Trying to be a professional when you're not. All right, let's talk about tripods. Oh, well, the tripod I was going to show you is now in use because I had a little error. It's okay. We'll pull it up. I should have just done it this way from the beginning. Like, just not worried about having the A7 in hand. I'm kicking myself. Anyways, let's pull up the tripod that I use. This is and we'll go down from there. So, because we're talking about adventure tripods, let's just talk adventure filmmaking in general. One of the big things is, how are you going to transport your stuff? What is that going to look like? Weight's an issue, things like that. So let's just talk about that real quick. Yes, you need a tripod. So let's not even try to get around that. This is the tripod I use. You're about to shit yourself when you see the price. So this is a carbon fiber travel tripod by Peak Design. It is $600. This is the best. If you want the best travel tripod on the market, it's this one. It's not debatable in my opinion. So I use this. If you want to save some money, you can get aluminum. It's a little bit more weight. It's still expensive. And then the Peak Design kit, like, I have the whole Peak Design kit. So I have the tripod that sticks with me, and then I also have, this is obviously my backpacking back, but you can see, here's a clip. This is a Peak Design clip. It's about 50 more bucks. And so it works in conjunction with this tripod, where it's a very easy, like, button that I press. It's off the tripod and it's clipped onto this, and vice versa. It's very quick, very interchangeable. Usually I'm holding my tripod, and if I'm hiking, the camera's locked in there. This can obviously be taken off, put on other things, put on another bag. I think that the clip and this tripod are kind of the best way to go. Like, not gonna lie. There's a bunch of different capture clips on the market. I think that this is the best one. You know what? I'm not gonna take you off. But if you don't have the capture clip, that's fine. I didn't have the capture clip for a long time. It is gonna just save you some energy. You know, you could just hold the camera or whatever. Some other options are that little tripod that we saw in the Road Kit for your phone. Like, here's another just phone tripod. This one is like, this is the Me Photo. I think this is 150 bucks. Let me look it up. This is a pretty popular tripod. We obviously have on this, whoops. Hold please. There it is, sorry. Okay, so it is 150 bucks. 150 bucks. So it's a little bit cheaper. It's super light. Not as light, but it's got this ball head and it's got a clip. This capture clip can be used with other clips. And then we've got this little thing that holds a cell phone in it, right? So there's an option. Here's another option that's really popular. This is called a Joby. You've probably seen these. You can like clip them on trees and stuff like this. I think Casey Neistat is really into these and has really made this thing pop. He used these a lot in New York on all the street signs and things like that. This is like 70 bucks, I think, a Joby. And again, this is a nice short option. Now, why, John, are you using a $600 tripod versus something like this? Well, that $600 tripod is super light, but also it extends to 6 feet. So it extends to my height where I'm standing, and I can make the camera level with me. So if I'm standing out there and I'm doing a gear review, then the camera will be eye level. Just think about this thing. I can't do that everywhere. I'd have to find a rock or something like that. Yes, it would be lighter, but you know, and you're hiking and you want to get a high angle shot of something, like that's where it is. So look at your tripod's height. That's a big deal. This Me Photo, that's the one knock against it. So that's how far this leg extends. So I'm just gonna guess, yeah, it's gonna come up to your waist. So you're not gonna be able to get this eye level even when you extend this, maybe chest level, but not eye level. And I gotta tell you, that actually comes into play more than you would probably expect. Like, it does become, when you get good at what you're doing, and like you're like, dude, I want to try this stuff, I want to try high angles and Dutch angles and blah 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 blah, and you have all these ideas, like you're gonna want something with a little bit higher. But again, we're talking price, and you got to start and you got to get in somewhere. I think this was my first tripod. It's pretty heavy, even though it looks small, but it's compact and it's compressible. This cost me 50 bucks. Taika, I don't even know. I went to Amazon and I found like the cheapest tripod I could, and here it is. Like, so you can get into tripods for 50 bucks. But you need a tripod. Now, do you need stabilization? Me personally, I don't use a lot of, I know gimbals are a big thing. I don't really use a gimbal anymore. I do have a gimbal. It's right here. I'm not gonna grab it. You can get into gimbals for like 300 bucks, I think, is the DJI Ronin. That's a fun thing, but for the adventure filmmaker, let's just call it that, you're not going to use those a whole bunch. You know, there's just a lot more to them. They're big, not huge, but you got to think of batteries. You got to think of all the mechanical stuff that goes wrong. They can be a little finicky. There's a lot of time balancing them and rebalancing them, and you can't change lenses quick, and all these different things. So I wouldn't recommend a gimbal, jumping into a gimbal right away if you get a professional camera. One of the ones I was showing you, a GH5 or one of these. The other thing is they're making stabilization internally in cameras. You could do a lot more with that. I don't really like the look. I mean, that's just a personal preference. It's kind of like it just looks mechanical. It was a cool look right when they first came out, but now it's like, all right, you're doing a little too much of that gimbal thing. Like, there's a time and a place for it. Really, I'm using mine mostly if it's a setup shoot and I'm shooting from the back of a car or in a helicopter or from a boat. Like, that's when I break out the gimbal. But honestly, I don't use it a whole lot, and I don't think that you necessarily need to jump into one. Sorry, let me just show you the gimbal that I would get if you do want to invest in one, just so we can talk, just so I cover my bases. And then we're going to talk about the gimbal that I do think you should get. So yeah, this is the Ronin, the DJI Ronin. I think this gimbal is great. This is the one that Brett has. I usually call him up if he likes to use gimbals. You use gimbals a lot more when you're first starting out, because you're not sure what looks cool. Like, I don't know how to make things cool with look awesome with a tripod, right? You think that you need all this stuff and movement and yada, yada, yada. And so you really lean heavily, if you have the budget, on things like this. And I understand that. So this is probably the gimbal I'd get into if I was, it's usually $439. It's on sale for $279. Look at that, jump all over that gimbal. Here's the gimbal you should get, and I'll tell you why. Sorry, it's this one. So remember, we're going back to the phone. So I think the phone is a lot, you can use the gimbal a lot more, and it's a lot more useful. One, it's just a smaller mechanism and there's less to it. Like, you're not changing lenses with your phone, right? I mean, apparently you can, but stop. So it's balanced, already for you. You don't have to really balance it. It's a lot harder to shoot a phone, handheld. This kind of movement doesn't really, like just think about the handheld moves when I've got a camera. This is really, and I'm like this with my internal stabilization. Well, this I can do. This works, panning or moving or even like a short push. It's kind of hard with the phone, honestly. It's like, what are we doing here? We got the two little fingers and we're going like this. Like, can it be done? Yeah, but I think that the gimbal actually would be more useful with a phone than with the camera. Like, I'm just thinking of like workout videos and stuff. You got someone doing, let's just say you're doing a workout video with your phone and someone's doing lat pulls and you want to do this really cool shot from the pulley up to the top, down onto, the back, the back muscles flexing as they come down, right? Like, a gimbal would really make that cool, and I think you couldn't get that so much as easily handheld with your phone as you would your camera. So I think that this gimbal by DJI, I do like DJI. There are other gimbals out there, but a gimbal for your phone is definitely something I would look into. Again, it doesn't replace the tripod. Get a tripod as well. You're gonna end up using, I guarantee you'll end up using a tripod more than you think. And you're like, no, John, I'm just gonna hold my phone. All right, go for it. In a month, I guarantee you're like, damn it, John was right. I need a tripod. This is annoying me. Like, let's just get into a tripod. So that's stabilization. That's the tripod that we're talking about. Some quick things that I missed before we get into our final part, the drone. With the adventure stuff, you know, remember that power is a big thing, right? The power to your, the batteries in my camera, the batteries in my drone, my phone uses a lot, does a lot of the video side of things for me. I got to keep that charged. Lights and things like that. So there's a lot of different power sources. This is the one that I've been using recently. This is just a power brick by Anker, solar. You know, you can charge it. Usually I don't need to even charge it. It's usually just I fill this up. I've got 7 batteries for my camera, so there's that. This is one method. Forget how much this is. These are all over the place. I'm not actually telling you to buy the Anker. It's just keep these in mind because you're like, you know, you're gonna have to power stuff when you go out there. Even if it's your phone, right? You know, you need to power your phone. Figure out how to do that. With your phone, there's a lot of stuff. Have you guys seen those widgets? Let me grab this real quick. There's a widget. This is a really cool item that I like. But if you're just shooting stuff with your phone, right? And you're just out there and you're like, I want to shoot camping videos or whatnot. This is the Exped Widget. It's like $40. You can get them from REI. So you fill your sleeping pads and stuff with the fan. There's a light, so you hang it in your tent. It lights up. It's also a lamp, and then there's charging ports over here. 2 of them, 2 different kinds. So, I mean, even if you're just shooting with your phone or something like that, you know, you could take just this and charge your phone. So, just be mindful of that, of what you're getting. One thing that you've probably seen, I've kind of gone away from this, and it's like, well, you know what? If I run out of power, I run out of power. This is the Sherpa 100 by Goal Zero. This is expensive. It's got like an actual charging station, like a plug-in. And then I've got all sorts of solar panels for it. This is a 10 watt. It does nothing. I tried to charge this thing. It does nothing. So basically I would have to take this thing if I wanted to charge it. This is a 20 watt. And it's just pretty heavy. I mean, combine that with this brick, even though it's small. So if I'm using these, I'm like, you know, I'm working with a rafting company and we're putting this on the raft. I'm not actually carrying this thing. So if you're gonna have to carry your power source, you're gonna be looking more in here, I think. And if you are going to be river rafting or, I don't know, maybe car camp, maybe you, I don't know, got something in your car where you can use this, sure. But this is more expensive. The other thing, there's so much to this, right? The other thing, let me just figure it out here. Bruh, you're gonna need a bag. So this is my camera bag. This is a Thinktank bag. $200 bag. Again, you're probably gonna need a bag. Just stuff to think about. You don't need a $200 bag, and I don't really actually think that's super important. That's why I'm just breezing over it right now. This is the one piece I would tell you that might be good. This is a ICU unit. There's an f-stop. There's a link to this down in my description. Internal compartment unit. So this is how I carry my camera stuff in my backpack. So drone will go here. A lens will go here. batteries and accessories will go here. My lavaliers and you know, my charging stuff will go here. Phone, the actual camera clips to the outside of my bag, and then this I zip up and it goes into my backpack. Bam. And I don't know if you could see it. There it is in there, right on the top, right? Just kind of sitting in there. Boom. I've got my internal storage unit to my backpack. So if you're doing anything like that, hunting maybe, that's a good way to transfer your camera. There's also Pelican boxes. If you're not familiar with those, if you know you're going river rafting or something like that, more expensive. Just be aware of that stuff. All right, final thing. Let's talk about drones. Brett, you sold your Ronin? Brett said he sold it. There you go. Hey. I mean, thank you, Brett. Just make me just exactly what I'm talking. Thank you for just proving my point. So I said Brett loves his Ronin. He bought a Ronin right when he first started out, right? And that he went hard with it. He wanted to use that a lot. Not anymore. I sold it. He's 2 years in. He sold it. That's exactly what I mean. It's like he was finally like, oh, I don't actually need this thing. Ooh, that's nice. What backpack do you have? Someone wants to talk backpacking. I've got that's not what this is for. What do I have? I have an Osprey. I have an Osprey Aether 65 or something. Sirui, I don't know, makes an above average carbon fiber travel tripod. That's about $200, 2 pounds. That's cool. How high does it go? Because I got a real job, I still love it. You could have kept it, Brett. I hated using my gimbal. Yeah, I do too. All right, let's talk drones. Let's talk drones, people. All right. This is my drone. This is the Mavic 2 Pro. These are discontinued. They are now making a Mavic 3, so if you want this drone, you'll have to buy a Mavic 3. Brett, have you been seeing the reviews on the Mavic 3? They're not good. I remember when they came out, Brett's like, did you see this? I mean, we've been waiting for the Mavic 3 launch for a while now in the community, and it was kind of disappointing. Like, Brett was like, oh my God, it's incredible. And then a week later, Brett texted me like, all right, it's not that, like something to the effect of like, that's not that incredible. Apparently they released, this is very DJI of them and why I haven't bought the Mavic 3. Apparently they released it not totally complete, being like, we'll figure it out with firmware, which would annoy the shit out of me. But this is the Mavic line, this is the professional line, this is the line, the top of the line, I think. I do think that DJI is, and I hate it. I've tried other drones. I really have tried other drones, everyone. The Karma, I've knockoff brands, all sorts. It really sucks. DJI is a Chinese company. I don't want to use their stuff, but this is the best stuff. And especially in terms of size and power, the Mavic series is absolutely, if you're an adventure filmmaker and you want to get into it, you want to get into using drones in the outdoors and stuff like that, the Mavic series is pretty much the only series I would look at. Now, do you need this one? Absolutely not. Do you need a Mavic 3 for $3,000? Absolutely not. This thing is actually, when I first bought this, it was really small. And now it's really kind of big. like it's really, really big. This is the controller, and then my phone hooks up to the controller, and that's the screen that I use. So this is fine. It shoots 4K 24. The new 3 shoots 4K 60. I don't really find you using too much slow motion with the drone. Waterfalls is one where you would. But I don't know if this is the first drone I'd buy. So I think that for most people, I'm going to recommend the DJI Mini. So here's the Fly More combo. We're going to talk about batteries on these in a second and why they're such a pain in the ass and how to use them. But you can get into a DJI Mini 2 for 450 bucks. And this thing is smaller than the one I just showed you, and it's just a great little drone. And, you know, with things like this, you know, batteries on these things, my batteries cost for a new battery 180 bucks each. You're going to want more batteries. You know, the smaller products, here's the one for the Mini 2. It's $55. So you're going to have stuff like this with the Mini where it's just going to, after you get all the accessories and stuff like that, it's going to cost you less, and it's going to be smaller, and it's going to fit in your pack. And it's just a really, really powerful drone that I think like can do just a lot. A lot. I don't know if you're doing like architecture photography with it, but in terms of like the stuff I do, for sure, you can shoot 4K 24. Like, I don't know, I might buy one of these and just take, like this honestly, if I didn't have the other work, if I was just making YouTube videos and I wasn't taking photos, this is like the go-to drone. I've actually thought about buying one of these. It's really cool. I dig it. You're really mostly screwed on the still side of things and less on the video side. But we're talking about video, and I find this to be like, if you're like, John, this is what I'd get first. Or Brett's probably banging. Brett, have you already left your comment about the Air? So this is like the next step up. This is the Air 2S. Obviously, it's $1,300. This does a lot. This does a lot with the still side of things. This is a great drone. It's definitely more powerful than the Mini. Again, look, once you get, it's a little bit bigger. Once you get bigger, it's now $115 per battery, and you know, if I was starting again, if I was like, let's just say everything burned up and I had to start all over again, and I had money, but you know, I needed to save some money here and there. This is the drone I'd buy. Like, this is just, it's just, I mean, I could do everything with it. I mean, I could do, if someone called me up and they were like, look, I've got a $2 million house I'm going to sell tomorrow. I need some aerial shots of it. I could take this drone out with confidence. So there you go. Here's the one thing I will say about a drone. Here's something I will say about my drones so far, and I'm not saying this will be the case for you, but I feel like these are the easiest thing to make your money back with. Like, there's no guarantee if you buy an GH5, like even if you buy like a GH5 or something, like maybe you'll make your money back, maybe you won't. Who knows how deep you want to get into this thing. I feel like very easily with a drone, you can just make your money back. It pays for itself if you just offer that service. Especially if you get licensed, which I think you should, and you will need to. They do monitor that, and I have had to give my license to a lot of people. We'll get into that in a second. Let me just show you So that's the next drone up. And then let's just look at the Mavic 3 real quick. The 2 is discontinued. Great time if you want to buy a Mavic Pro 2 on the cheap. But like, yeah, so the Cine Premium combo is $5,000 for this thing. You can just see on here, by the way, so like 3.5 stars for a product on B&H isn't fantastic. Like if I buy something, I want it to be over 4. I don't know what's going on with this thing. Like not to shit on the drone that I'm eventually gonna buy and like the drone of my dreams that I've been waiting for, but there's a lot of hiccups to it, and these things are finicky machines still, and apparently it's gonna need some stuff. And yeah, here's the battery for that, $209. So I do recommend if you buy a drone, especially from DJI, they're going to offer you DJI Care for about $140 for the year. It's basically insurance. If your drone breaks or anything like that, they'll fix it for a very minimal price. Or like if my drone breaks while they're trying to fix my drone, they'll send me another drone to use in the meantime. That comes in super handy, and you want it. And if you don't buy it and you go and use your drone, then you can't buy it. Or if you like the process of buying it down the road is so hard. You got to show pictures and like, I don't know, like make a case to DJI that your drone is in perfect working order, which it usually never is. So I think that DJI Care Refresh is a really good service, and I would highly recommend buying that with your drone, whether you're an amateur, a hobbyist, anything like a professional. Buy that DJI Care. It'll save you a lot of time and money. And then of course there's the Part 107. Excuse me. The Part 107, it's your drone pilot's license. If you do any kind of commercial drone work, you have to have this license. It's not super expensive. It's like $150. It is a pain in the ass to get. And yes, the test is hard. You would have to study for it. I have left a link in the description of this video to this absolute psycho 29. If you guys know camera and videos on YouTube, you probably have heard of this guy, Tony Northrup. He's got a lot of followers. He does camera and gear reviews. He's insane in my opinion, and not someone you should learn stuff from. But his Part 107 prep course is great, and I've left a link to that down in the description below. If you're going to monetize your videos on YouTube, you need to have this, or they'll fine you. And it's hit or miss, but yeah, it's like they look. And the big thing, like the way I get reported most of the time, is people see my stuff on YouTube. They don't like it. They don't like drones. So they report me. I have to make sure I have all my paperwork in order. There's a lot of commercial stuff that I do where people are asking for it beforehand. If you want to make money with these, if you want to be credible and just keep yourself safe, if you're getting paid for using it, that's it. It's only if you're getting paid for using it. If you're like, John, I'm never going to make a dime with this, not even on YouTube. Remember, YouTube AdSense counts. So, if you're monetized on YouTube, which you can all be monetized on YouTube, it's not hard. It'll take you a year of work. Then you're going to need a Part 107. So start thinking about that if you want to actually commercially use it. Get the DJI Care Refresh, and then down the road, and then I even have, and this is getting the weeds. We're wrapping up here. I have insurance too, like in case my drone falls from the sky and hits a person and they sue me. So insurance for these gets up and up and up. So I think I've talked for about 2 hours, and let's just recap before we go. So there's 5 things you need to become an adventure filmmaker. There's a camera, there's a means to edit, there's an audience, there's audio, and there's your tripod. You will learn what you will learn just through hard work and everything like that, and with this beautiful thing called YouTube. Whenever you face a problem, you want to do something, you'll just look it up, you'll get better. You'll start making stuff, you'll get better. What are some of the things you should start making right away? First of all, a website, and then a YouTube channel, and then you want to actually start making videos. You're not sure what to make videos to make. You can make spec ads. You can make spec ads for products. You can make vacation videos. You can make videos for your work. There's thousands of ways content can help you at your work or in the office or for your work. Remember, I started making rugby videos. That's just a side hobby that I had. Who gave a shit? And then my first paying job, go figure, ended up being a company that offers college rugby programs, basically tapes on their opponents, the scouting tapes. So they got in contact with me, and they paid me $75 to just go on a tripod, record a rugby game. I think that's where I met Brett. That was just, again, what I was doing was I was just recording my stupid intramural rugby practices, and that turned into my first paying work. So go to your job, start shooting that stuff. Documentaries, games you can play. I did this exercise that just came out of the blue. We were playing charades at my house one night. It was myself and a friend. It was our parents, our 3 parents. We were playing charades or something. And I was like, all right, everyone, all of you write down a word. I don't care what the word is. Just write down a word, fold it up in a piece of paper, put it in this hat. And then my friend and I pulled out these 3 words. I'll never forget them. Boat, flower, tea. Tea as in tea that you drink. And then the next day, came up with a story around those 3 words and incorporated them into a short film, shot it, and played it for our parents that night. And it's still like my mom's favorite video that I've ever done. It was on this shitty little camera. There's no talking in it. It's just music and nat sound and just this movement that my friend and I did, and we acted in it. And dude, I learned so much from that. I learned so much doing that. Just a fun little game that I was having. And you can start throwing stuff like that on your YouTube channel or things like that, some of those things. And then again, the camera is the best one on you. You can absolutely start with your cell phone, okay? It's a great place to start while you save up for your next upgrade, or you slowly start to level up. Your camera can come second. You know, edit software, get Davinci Resolve, make that free. Some of the things you're going to have to pay for right away, you know, hard drive space, cards, batteries, the tripod. Don't forget the tripod and a microphone, okay? And from there, you'll just make it work. And yeah, I have always encouraged, like Brett, start your website, start building that portfolio, start getting more and more work. Get your other hustle on, whatever it is you do. For me, I was waiting tables, something flexible, and I just slowly built until this was my full-time job. If you want to get into it professionally, that's how you do it. Or you could just go get a job with someone like me. We kind of talked about that, but again, that is extremely hard, especially if you don't know someone or anything about a camera. So the way you learn is the way I just taught you. I hope that helps everyone. Let me hit the comments here. And the one. Okay. Oh my God. Brett, what are you yelling at? All right. Is it necessary to get drone license for adventure filming YouTube stuff? So I talked about that. If your YouTube channel is monetized, yes. That Fly More Mini 2 is what I got, worth it. Need the Fly More because of batteries. Yes, that's a good point. I want to show you what the way to charge these batteries is an absolute nightmare right now. You can get a very small USB cord and a very small charger for the very small batteries that come in that Sony camera that I'm using. This is, and I don't know any way around this, I've researched it. This is the charger for these absolutely ginormous, they're pretty heavy, DJI batteries. I can take this part off, but I need all this cord, this big thing, and then the battery plugs into this, and they take a lot of power, a lot of power. For you to take these out, you would need something like this to charge the batteries, right? Another 300 bucks. So the way I do it, the way a lot of people do it, unless you're, again, in a raft, I've got a big thing, but if we're backpacking or something like that, I'm taking 3 batteries with me. Once those batteries are gone, they're gone. I've planned my drone flights kind of ahead of time. I'm picking optimal times of day, morning or evening, and I'm definitely thinking about that beforehand. So when Brian says, yeah, I need the Fly More kit because of the batteries, that Fly More kit will come with 3 batteries. I think you need 3 batteries. Like that's what I take with me. 3 is a good number. So thanks, Brian. What do you think of the Mini versus the original Mavic? I have the original Mavic. Seems tough to get good footage out of it. That original Mavic had what was called pixel binding in it. I don't know if they ever changed that with the firmware update. It had some problems. They all do, especially when they first come out. They're getting better, but yeah, that first Mavic caused me some problems. It took me a while and a lot of YouTube research to figure out the right settings. Basically what pixel binding is doing, Rob, is the Mavic is trying to sharpen the image for some reason in the Mavic, and you do not want that at all. You want to lower your contrast in your settings and try to get like a flat image that you can rework in post. At least that was the problem that I had with it. Without seeing your footage, I couldn't actually tell you, but that was the problem that I had with the first Mavic. The only problem with the Mini is it doesn't follow you. That's it. Gotta be honest, I don't use that feature a whole lot. It's cool if you want to use it. I'm mostly like actually trying to follow myself manually. It just works better for me. So yeah, the follow feature isn't a big loss for me, honestly. But it does everything else in 4K. Yeah, awesome. With the Mini, you don't need a license or FAA registration for now. FAA registration for your Mini, because if your drone is over a half a pound, right? Or a half an ounce, I forget. With the Mini, I'm pretty sure if you're getting paid for using it in some fashion, you still need a license. Fact check me on that. Look that up. Someone look that up. You don't have to register with the FAA as of now, but I think you need the Part 107 if you're doing anything commercially with a drone. Meaning if you're getting paid from your drone work, you need a license. Pretty sure. Hey, Jessica answered my question. Thank you, Jessica. I never use the Mavic, but I wouldn't use anything but the Mini because it's small enough you don't have to register it, and a lot of laws don't apply to it because of its size. Jessica, the FAA requires the license for drones being used in commercial use require the Part 107 remote certification license. Drones weighing between 250 grams and 200 kilograms are required to be registered. Got it. Yeah, so exactly what Jessica was saying. I think when you're using it commercially, when you're actually getting paid for it, you need the Part 107. You don't have to actually register the drone with the FAA, but you need the license to commercially use it and get paid for the footage. So if you're doing real estate videos or something like that where you're getting paid for it, you need that. Here's the question. If you're using it, I know a storage facility company. The owner of the storage facility company has a drone. He's using the drone to do his own storage facilities and post those online and use those in his business. That makes a lot of money. Does he need a Part 107? I don't believe so. But there you go. The Mini isn't required, that's why I use it. Brett Johnson is selling his GH5 because he just bought an A7 IV. If anyone is interested in a GH5 with lenses, there you go. You want to jump in and hit Brett Johnson up. Brian really loves the Mini. Hey, I love the Mini too, even though I've never owned one. But I've seen it in action, and it seems like a sweet drone, and the price is great. So, yeah, and yeah, I'm sorry, I see him. I'm not saying that right. The Siriu tripod, I've never heard of it. Doesn't quite reach the eye level. Yeah, but it's the trade-off with weight consideration when backpacking. Absolutely. Yeah, the whole, like, if you're not going to invest in the Peak Design at $600, then there's just a litany of tripods you can get at every single price point with so many different things that they do well and that you have the trade-off for. So when you're researching tripods, that's just what I hope you take away from this, is you just know what you're looking for when you're researching. It's like, what's my budget? Okay, this thing's not going to get as high as I wanted to. Okay, this thing might be a little bit heavier than I wanted to. What do I care about? What do I need? What is my audience? Remember, what am I shooting? Things like that. Action X70 backpack has been on the wish list for a while, but haven't yet been willing to cough at the dough. It's spendy. Smaller core units. Action 70. Thank you so much, bro. You're awesome. Oh, thank you. Yeah, you're welcome, guys. I feel like this went good, except for my opening. And I wish that I had that camera that's sitting on there to actually show you some more stuff. I give props to YouTubers that hike my, y'all carry so much gear. Dude, some people don't. Craig Adams carries one camera, one lens, one tripod. That's it. Doesn't carry extra charging or anything. He carries a couple batteries. His setup's dialed. Oh, we're still talking drones. Also, not all areas allow drones to be used, so please double check your areas you fly. If we follow the rules, it helps us out a lot. Thanks. Yeah, and there's the Before You Fly app. You can check that. That's a good one. Seth, you are in here. All right, I used you as an example a lot, bro. I'm sorry. Because you DM'd me like, I'm gonna be watching, and I was like, why the hell would Seth be watching? And I tried to put 2 and 2 together in the middle of the show. So I hope that worked. Okay, backpacks. How much of your pack weight and volume is taken up by your video gear? I'm soon in the market for a new pack and trying to judge what size I'll need. I'm at the limit with my 65-liter backpack and all my gear, but I am at the heavier side of an adventure filmmaker. I like my gear. Like I just said about like Craig Adams, he is not taking all the shit that I'm taking. He's taking this camera, but he's taking one lens with it, and he's taking, you know, just less stuff. He's using a smaller drone, less batteries, I don't know. So a 65 liter, you're going to be good. Thanks for taking your time to share your knowledge. Yep. All right, guys, 2 hours and 10 minutes. It's 9:30. I'm going to get out of here. Thank you so much. Got a great video for y'all next week. I just did 18 miles in the honeycomb loop through the Owahis. It's gorgeous. We'll see that Monday. And I'll see you all later. Thanks for watching. See you next time.